managed to avoid temptation.
Does anyone know what this is?
Yes, of course.
Is it a muffin?
A Tunnocks tea cake.
A Tunnocks tea cake, and well said. Well said. You sounded like Willie the caretaker from The Simpsons there.
Is that medicine?
I intended to consume
What
this.
is it?
It's a Scottish piece of confectionery. It's been around for I think over 100 years.
Not that particular one, surely.
Made in Glasgow, Tunnocks tea cake. Tunnocks have been around for ages. They make caramel wafers, caramel logs, and the famous tea cake, which is their biggest seller. I reckon they've made billions of these and send them all around the world. Chocolate, mallow, and a little bit of like crumbly biscuit in the bottom. Perfect with a little cup of cha.
So have you been sent some or something?
No. I went into the cupboard. Sarah's away. Sarah's gone, and I went into the cupboard to get a little pick me up before the live, and I found a box of tea cakes, which is quite an unusual thing to find in our house.
I think that's a good question, though, Tim, because as we know, Eric is a sponsored athlete. You know.
Yeah.
Maybe he's carb loading.
Maybe
Before he does his 3K this afternoon.
I've actually pranked my Achilles, so the game's off for a little while. I'm taking a few days out.
So you're going to go, instead of carb loading, you're going to go for the option of carb bloating, are you?
Carb bloating, yeah, and making sure that there's a good red wine to carb balance.
Nice, good plan.
Sorry for hijacking your session, Tim.
No. It's totally okay. Should we do some introductions? Mike, do you want to go first? I'm gonna go round.
Hey everybody, Mike Garrison, Magic Mindset, proud partner of DLA Ignite, and I like to integrate on and offline social.
And where are you with your coffee intake today?
I am on the second round, so I'm right. Safe for public consumption.
Might be worth saying where we all are geographically.
Yeah, where are you, Mike? Do you know?
I am in God's country, Roanoke, Virginia, in the heart of the Blue Ridge Mountains.
Right.
On the trail of the Lonesome Pine.
Yeah. Adam.
Hi, I'm Adam. I'm Tim's partner, business partner, I hasten to add. And I'm in the UK, in Suffolk, which is that bit on the right-hand side that sticks out to the right of London.
Lenwood.
Hello, I'm Linwood Ross. I'm with Accelerate. We are. I'm not with Accelerate. I'm the founder and CEO. I'm a proud DLA Ignite partner. I am in New Jersey, just outside of New York City. We can see it actually from where I live.
Fantastic, Brandon.
Hey everybody. I'm Brandon. I'm the founder of Funnel Amplified and a proud partner to be with these guys because I learned a ton. So thanks for having me today.
And where are you?
Oh, yeah.
Geographically?
I'm in Atlanta. Well, I'm north. Yeah, well, I can tell you mentally where I am if you really wanted to know. That'd be a great conversation. Geographically, I am outside of Atlanta. We're north of Atlanta in the suburbs in the southeast part of the U.S. And yeah, it's a
go Braves.
rainy, humid day today. Go Braves. Yeah, I am not a baseball fan. So
No.
Sure, go Braves.
Yeah,
it's incredible sleep aid baseball.
Thomas.
That and golf.
What? You obviously don't know very much. You were good. You took your shot.
Introduce yourself before we get into a rabbit hole about golf.
Sorry.
Well, hello everybody. I'm Thomas Ross.
And you got your headphones in today, which is good.
Yes, and they drive me crazy, just so you know. So I only wear them for the purpose of this event. In any case, I am one of the founders of Social Selling HQ. We are out of Fargo, North Dakota, and I am a very proud and active partner of DLA Ignite Global.
And last but not least, Mr. Eric Doyle.
Thank you very much. My name's Eric. I'm one of the co-founders of Crux. The other founder was my wife, and I know where I stand in life. I know my pecking order. We are partners with DLA Ignite, and we're based in HQ right here is based in Aberdeen, Scotland. But we have associates all over Scotland.
Perthshire.
All over Perthshire and Aberdeenshire and Eastbourne. Yeah, we do.
So Thomas, what are we going to talk about today?
Well, I mean, big picture, who knows? Because this conversation goes everywhere. But where we might start, I can start us there if you like. So today, what we want to talk about, I think, is how companies need to change from analog to digital. And there's all sorts of sources of information on this by many large firms who, of course, we shall not, mention, who talk about this conversion process and what needs to be done and how it impacts sales and marketing and how it impacts companies overall. But most of these companies, and again, I don't want to name names, and I don't want to do anything like that. KPMG, Mercer, Gartner. It's just, sorry guys, I didn't mean to do that. In any case, but they consult. The difference between what they do and what we're going to talk about today is making stuff happen, right? And putting steps in place. And what are the things that we need to do as a company to actually become digitally transformed, whatever that means, right? From the perspective of sales and marketing, and from the perspective of what we do as a group on their behalf. And that's what counts. The report or all the consulting sessions, as interesting and as expensive as they might be, don't actually do, shite. They don't do anything, right? What actually does stuff is working with DLA Ignite Global. And that would be the kickoff. And I don't know who wants to start with respect to what are some of the steps an organization needs to do in order to become digital, and maybe you do a self-audit or analysis of where they are today. But I'll let somebody else start. Who wants to jump in first?
No, Thomas, you carry on. You're doing great.
Really?
Yeah.
We've got a comment here from Helen. So say hi to Helen.
Hi, Helen.
From analog to digital, it's going to be interesting to hear the different perspectives from the panel about how we can make this happen.
Well, okay, so if I'm going to start, and that's not a problem. The first thing we want to do with any particular company, organization, or people that we're working with is help them figure out where they really are today, as opposed to where they think they are. I mean, as a group, as a team, we hear every day, we're all over social, we're digital, we're doing it all. We're rocking and rolling. We don't need that. We're ready to go. And we say, wow, that's pretty impressive. And we bring up, various different things that we might do. We might start with LinkedIn. We might start with their website. We might start with their teams and their people. And we go, so you're all over this, and yet we don't see you anywhere. And then we might measure their online presence, and we get much the same results. And then so let me understand, how do you define you're all over it? Because that might be a good starting point, right? And then we can start there. But the real crux of it really doesn't come down to that. It really comes down to, what do you want from it, right? So if you want to be digitally transformed, why? What's the ultimate goal? Is that so you can tell your board of directors that you're digitally transformed? Why do you want to do that? What's the purpose, right? And we start from there.
I think that we have a really big issue in that people don't understand what that actually means. So if you think back to the mid-90s, people decided that they wanted to have a website, and they wanted an e-commerce website. So I could go onto the e-commerce website. I could decide what I wanted to buy, and then I could phone the company up and place my order. And then things got better. I could go online and I could place things in my basket and complete the order, and then click the link that said, here's how you pay. So I'd go online and I'd phone them up, and they'd take my credit card details over the phone. And then things went on another step where I could pay online, and then the online sales engine would send dispatch an email telling them that they needed to pack up this stuff and send it to me. Now, I think that we're in a similar situation now, where people look at digital and they say, actually, if we have an omni-channel view of our customers, it means we can talk to them on these 3 platforms. Or if we are social, it means that we can use our corporate social presences to put our message out there. And it's kind of missing the point. It's a bit like sending the email to dispatch. Actually, this isn't integrating stuff. This isn't transforming. This is simply using some of the elements of being digital or social to help make the process, from a customer's perspective, more efficient. But actually, it isn't getting to the very crux. I use the word as you did, Thomas. It isn't getting to the very crux of the problem, which is actually you need to move everything onto this platform to be able to deal with it.
I think it's what's coming out of this. So just processing what Thomas and Adam said there is what's coming out of this, and certainly from what I see in my daily life is that there are certainly professionals are falling into a couple of, not buckets, that's a bit rough, but certainly some camps. Certainly some camps that are modern professionals. Doesn't matter what age they are. Could be baby boomers, could be Gen X. Doesn't really matter. Millennials.
I agree. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but there are definitely. I mean, so we'll get the MD or the head of sales who'll contact us directly. I read your thing, and it made me think. I'm really confused. Can we have a chat, please? So that step forward. We've started calling them just stupidly around. We've started calling these people so curious, curious. Social curious, right? So I've read your thing. I kind of like the idea of it, but I don't know where to start. As an MD or a CEO or a C-suite leader or whatever, can you come and explain this to me? I think that's a beautiful position to be in as a modern leader, to have that open-mindedness to go, I'm hearing about all this. I'm not going to profess to understand it, but I'm going to put my hands up and I'm going to be open-minded enough to bring specialists in to tell me what this is going to do for me. And then we've got people who are not so curious. They're keeping their heads down and for whatever reason avoiding. Either that's through ignorance or through design. I don't want to listen to this. This doesn't apply to me. This is all a load of rubbish. And then we've got the people that, despite bringing there's other camps forming. So we come in, we sit down with the C-suite team, we explain it, and you get those faces of people going, well, this is a moon landing. This is incredible. We had no idea that our prospects behaved in this way, and that if we behave like this, we can tap into a gold mine for us if we change our mindset. But we also have the C-suite team who see it all, see all the data, see all of that, and still go, we're not sure it's for us. So we've got these camps forming of professionals that are putting their chips down on black or red, or maybe even some other variant of that. And it's so incredible to see what progress happens with that open mindset, that sort of like infinite mindset of if this is available to me. If this is backed up by data, as Thomas has suggested, it's backed up by data. It's not just throwing headlines up.
It's not our opinion that this is good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference between our opinion and the data. Yes.
Totally.
Yeah.
Eric, I think that everything you said, I fully agree with, and I do think it unfortunately it's a little bit more complex than that too. I mean, I love putting that in those different camps. It really helps give clarity to the way people are thinking or the way they're approaching this. Spot on, totally agree. I think unfortunately there's so many layers of thoughts, opinions, current systems. We've talked about marketers have their corporate funnel, if you will. They've got, and I think all of us were kind of chatting on some posts today about sales enablement tools. Like they've fought for these tools over the last 5 years. It's ingrained in, this is the way we do things with corporate website, corporate pages, forcing buyers and forcing our team to send people to all these pages so we can get data. And those are some of the thinkings that I think are just getting in their way of going, how do we actually equip the salespeople to have the conversations with the right people in the right platforms and equip them with the right content? There's just that big divide there that I think is the biggest challenge for organizations to overcome. What do you think about that? I'm curious your thoughts.
I think it's absolutely right. I saw it played out recently, where that divide, that massive gap, has resulted in a 6-month delay with a whole heap of stuff, which is going to just an ICP exercise, starting up a website. We've got to do this first. We've got to do a 3-month voice of the customer exercise. Meanwhile, the thing that was flagged up over here was just coming into the screen was we need our sales reps to be talking to more prospects so that they can convert those conversations into deals, commercial interaction. So what we're going to do is now, for the sake of window dressing and producing reports that are going to give us good gut feels about senses of the market and the voice of our customer, we're going to put a 6-month delay to allow our competition to be speaking to those prospects directly. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Way to go.
I can I throw this real quick? A few weeks ago, I was talking to a sales enablement leader, and I forget the exact title, but we were talking about social selling. We're talking about how to equip, And at the end of the conversation, it came down to, well, bottom line is everything has to run through my sales enablement platform, or else none of this is going to work. And the conversation just imploded because they were just so anchored into the sales enablement platform as being, the center of the universe.
It's a bit of a bummer when your sales enablement program becomes a blocker to progress, really.
To actual
to getting
sales
leads, yeah.
Sales, yeah.
It's really interesting. Like, we've got to use this screw. We have to screw this into the wall with a hammer. We have to do this. Tim, do you mind putting up Helen's question again, please?
Which one?
The one up, yeah.
Yeah, so crux, right? There's that word, but mindset is an even better word, personally. I just like it more, Eric, nothing personal. But yes, there's a philosophical change. And I think, and I want to throw this out to everybody else in a second, I think that the real challenge with going from analog to digital is the leadership mindset and model that you have. Are you, like, sometimes we talk about, are you a 2019 sales organization or a 2021 sales organization? I'd even take it back. Are you an industrial revolution leader, or are you a digital leader? Are you looking at everything as an assembly line, or are you looking at everything as a intricate, integral team? And I think when you take it to social and what separates what we're about, without banging our drum too much, Thomas, right? What separates us is we dig in social at every level of the organization. And to make it work, there's one thing that has to happen.
Nice, Adam.
Yeah, leadership. The leadership in the company, and I would argue at multiple levels, has to be on board with stepping out of an industrial mindset and getting into a collaborative social mindset where human beings aren't cogs in a machine. They're actually the force multipliers of your revenue.
So I saw when I was on holiday, I saw a podcast. It happened to be Mike and Brandon talking, and one of the comments on there, which full disclosure, was Eric, and he made a comment which I'm going to read out. The conversation about whether this all works or not is over, dead, in the trash. The question now is if your organization has the culture to accept change, the mind to accept alternative perspectives, and a hunger to win. And that statement has basically echoed around my head for the last 2 weeks, because for me...
Bye, guys. See you all. See you. Thank you so much. Been good.
Because of the fact that it sums it up very, very nicely, which is that... Everybody knows digital is here. Everybody knows that.
Period.
And everybody knows that in sales meetings and in board meetings, this is being discussed. But who's doing anything about it?
Oh,
you have to lead. I mean, this is like, if you have an organization, you have to lead a new way. You have to,
I just want to jump in there, Mike, because I think and we don't mean to be doing this, but it's the natural process. In some ways, we're making this worse, right? There's lots of there's lots of layers to this process, and there's lots of areas that overlap each other that are impacted by the process. But if we start from the goal, and if the goal was, sales growth and customer relationships and all those cool things, then we can break it down. My favorite question to ask a team, especially a leadership team, is What year did you turn off the fax machine?
I haven't yet.
So
now.
Adam is now removed from the meeting because we know that's not going anywhere, right? And then I ask them, and they're all looking at you, and I say, now, why did you turn off the fax machine? Right? What was the thinking behind that? Well, that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about turning off all the old stuff, whatever it is. I don't care what it is, and moving into today's reality. You turn the fax machine off because nobody has fax machines anymore.
Yeah, and I would say similar, Thomas, to use that fax machine analogy. It did happen over time, right? Some people were still sending their faxes. Some people started to scan, and eventually, and I think that to extend that analogy into sales, helping teams get comfortable, especially sales leaders, like, you know what? Don't cold turkey your outbound calls. Don't cold turkey stop your emails. It's okay, but measure the data and the effectiveness with those outbound messages that are going from email and the outbound engagement that's happening through social, and see which one is creating more conversations, which one generates more meetings, and then let the natural progression of best practices lead you with, hey, let's start moving the phone away. Let's start reducing the amount of email we send out, or whatever it may be. But you don't have to go cold turkey, but you got to start on social to be able to compare the data.
You don't have to.
I hear what you're saying. I think the challenge here, though, is that there is an amount of bravery that is required. So at the end of our garden, we've got like a country lane that runs. And since we moved in here about 11 years ago, since we've lived in this house, I've had my stall out in front of the house selling horseshoeing services to people, because it used to be a major thoroughfare. And it's been a bad year, actually, in fairness. In fact, it's been a bad decade. In fact, it's been a bad 100 years. But actually, once upon a time, it used to be really good, and loads of people used to stop and have their horses shoed here. So I'm hoping that, I can see some green shoots approaching. I saw a horse going past, and I think things are going to get, and that's what we're facing. Yeah. So Tim and I have sat in loads of meetings where the head of marketing or sales has said, none of this stuff works. It's all broken. We're not getting any meaningful leads. But equally, we've sat in loads of meetings where the head of sales or head of marketing has said, yeah, we've identified what the problem is. The problem is that our current marketing automation platform is not fit for purpose. So we're going to upgrade that to something which gives us better customer segmentation and real-time insights into what customers are doing. I can already tell you what the real-time insights are. They're not doing anything. They're not clicking on your links. They're not adding their name. They're not downloading stuff. They're ignoring you. But most people, particularly people whose career has been built on a particular mindset and way of thinking and delivering stuff. Eric said previously he had worked with a client and got to a particular kind of pinch point, and the client put their hand up and said, does that mean I haven't got a job anymore? Mm-hmm. And Eric's like, no, it just means that actually the place that you can have most value isn't where it was. It's now in this new world, which is an entirely new way of doing things and deploying the skills that you've learned. But most people don't want to hear that. Most people are like, well, if I can just hold on here for another 2 years until they sack me, I'll be okay retiring.
Can I ask why do we? Okay. This might sound horrible and controversial. It's not. It's the result of.
This is all about being controversial.
Well, it's not really. We're trying to be helpful. We're trying to be solutions people and trying to apply help to an issue. But I'm at the point now where I'm exasperated and so when I was trained in sales, marketing, and BD, every company that I moved into, I would ask the head of marketing come in and sit in my office and say, so everything's going to change for you now, because the idea of I love it. I love the idea of it should be fun. There should be no stress associated with marketing. We are creating visibility and promoting our company, and I think that's beautiful. So we're going to do it in a really cool way, and I want to link you back up to the organization, because I'm guessing that you've probably been marginalized. Yes, I have. I'm now the brochure department. I get to do the website, and people ask me to do business cards. Okay, wow. Okay, so we're going to put you right at the center of this again because you are an important person. Yay, fantastic. Something has happened along the way with this whole, where there was an opportunity where the social bus pulled up and all the marketing people could have got on and said, we're going to drive this. They actually all started throwing rocks at it. I don't know why. So why are we in this position? And I kind of know the answer. This is a loaded question. Why are we in a position where you sit with a C-suite and there's a bottom right-hand corner box on the Zoom call, and the C-suite are saying, this is a fundamental, what you've just proposed to us. We've run through your proposal. We've looked at it. This transformation program is a game changer for us. It puts us ahead of our competition. It puts us right at the front and center of our markets and takes us to where our prospects are having conversations. We're all in. CFO, yes. CMO, yes. CSO, yes. CEO, yes. Absolutely. COO, 100%. Marketing, do you want to have how are you feeling about this? I don't think this is the right way to go. I think this is dreadful. Okay, why? It's going against everything that we've ever done for our company. It's going against everything that we do that's professional. It's going against everything that we do that generates the kind of interest and visibility that we do for our company. I just find this whole, so whatever barrier it might be to, I've got loads of work to do before we need to do this, but we end up with this rock throwing from marketing professionals, where there's actually an opportunity to say, not only, okay, I don't understand what I've just heard. I'm fully on board with it because I see it's the way the world's going and I want to learn. And I'll tell you what, guys, there's probably going to be a bit of internal kind of like corralling to do here. I'm going to lead it up. From the get-go, I'll put my $2 on the table and say, I'll lead this, guys, and I'll be the one that's centralizing and driving all of this. Why doesn't that happen?
Well, you know why it doesn't. That's a rhetorical question, isn't it?
Yes, of course it is.
Because people are scared. You know, I've spent my entire years, we see it so often with sales, don't we? Where we say cold calling is a waste of your time. And people that have spent 20 years developing their telephone technique didn't hear what I just said. What they heard was telephone is a waste of time, which it isn't. Cold calling is a waste of time. You spent 20 years developing your telephone technique. Why would you deploy that telephone technique, punching in numbers and leaving messages for people, when you should be deploying it, talking to somebody? And what they hear is that this is changing. I'm scared. It invalidates me as a person. If you spent 20 years refining your ability to build and bond and sell on the telephone, what you want is not more dials. What you want is more people to talk to. And all we do is we give a methodology that provides you with a much higher strike rate of people you can have a conversation with. It requires you to do some different stuff rather than sitting there hour after hour after hour, dialing a number for somebody, A, who aren't there, or B, don't want to talk to you when they are. That means you've got to dial 1,000 numbers during the week to get one call. Why not dial 10 numbers and get 10 calls? Yeah, you're dialing less, but you're speaking more, which is where your skill set lies. And it's that juxtaposition between what I say and what you hear, that's where the barrier is. And marketing people, marketing's dead. Marketing will never be dead. Email marketing is arguably dead. Advertising is arguably dead. Events are arguably dead. Marketing isn't, because you have to get out there and tell people what it is you do. But
it's interesting that some people that have studied and put themselves through college or university to learn a brilliant skill in marketing, and have devoted their lives to enabling companies to grow through visibility and being understood and all of that in markets and all of that, are now in a position where the biggest aid to their professional lives has come along, and they're putting themselves right in between that and the organization that it could help. Whether that's ego or pride or ignorance or worry or whatever it is, job security or whatever it might be, they've built a brick wall right down the middle to prevent that coming into the organization, because that's what I do. That's what I do.
It's a culture thing, individually and collectively. And I'm trying to tee up Lenwood potentially here, because he's the guy that inspires me on culture when we look at this. But I think so much of what's happened is we don't understand how buying behavior, which has become more commoditized, faster, things like that, affects mindset. And so I run a mindset company, and the two prevailing mindsets are infinity and beyond. Anything's possible, which is just as destructive to positive change as the fixed mindset that I'm just who I am and it's never going to change. The reality is you need to be involved in a personal and a corporate culture of realistic change, of leading confident change, and it can't be too big.
Where's the sound of the phone all coming from?
It's not me. I've turned my watch and my phone off and muted myself. I don't think it's me. I think it's Thomas's headphones.
You know, I hope it is. You know. But it's not me because I can hear it.
If I could just jump in here. Yeah, so basically what this whole conversation about is, what a lot of people have been talking about for a few years now as it relates to digital transformation. What's the thing that's holding companies back when they spend millions of dollars to implement new technology and nothing happens? Well, it's the culture. It's the culture of the organization. There's a fundamental misunderstanding about what needs to happen go forward. Digital technology changes the game. Okay, so it's no longer that my competitor, in order to compete with me, has to have millions and millions of dollars to build a big old factory, and then they've got to staff that factory up, and they've got to be able to hire all these. That is not how we compete anymore. So that type of that's not really a barrier to entry that's going to slow our competitors down. Now the barrier to entry is a few programmers. And like 30 days, they can get something up and be competing with you. So the culture, people have to have, the mindset change. They have to learn. It's not about the thing that I learned 2 decades ago or even 10 years ago, but what am I learning today? So they got to learn how to learn, and there has to be a learning culture, right? And we could go on. Right, because the thing with the sales enablement tools that we've invested in, or the marketing automation tools that we've invested in, because the ability to compete with new tools is so much easier. Just because you invested in it 5 years ago, 2 years ago, last year, doesn't mean it's not irrelevant.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I think MarTech, if I can use that term, is the marketing's answer to all of this, right? This is their way of staying in the game and of saying, well, what we need is a new technology and a new tool that will fix everything. I think everybody should be on Sales Navigator, or we should have a new sales enablement tool or whatever, and we'll train everybody and that'll fix it all, right? But
that is the thing why the culture has to change, because if our buyers are changing, if their behaviors are changing, and they can change very quickly, then our organization has to be able to change equally as quickly.
But isn't that process as opposed to culture? And doesn't the culture then
no,
come out of the process?
It's not process. It's about having before you get to the process, you have to have the mindset, right, to be like, oh, things are changing, then I need to change. I need to learn something new, and then have a willingness, and then go and actually learn that new thing and start implementing it. But
Who was it that said?
It's not a new process.
Who was it that said culture eats strategy for breakfast?
I think it was Drucker.
Yeah.
I say it all the time. I don't know where it came from. That's one of my biggest beliefs.
It was Drucker.
So that's the issue. Once we have and it's a progress. It's a progressive change. I mean, you get into building a learning culture is you get people to start learning, and you keep learning new things, and the things that you want to learn are mindset, right?
So my question then, Lenwood.
Yeah.
So I don't disagree. I agree with you. So
Yeah.
you're in that boardroom and you're having that conversation, the one that Tim outlined so nicely there. Now, and you want to make the point, we need to have a cultural shift. What are you saying to that team to help the CMO and the marketing department become part of the process you just described? How are you going to articulate that?
How do I articulate to the CMO
Leadership to the leadership team. So you've got the CEO, the CFO, the COO, all the C's are there, and maybe a few others.
Right. So the culture starts at the cultural change starts at the top. It's the tone at the top of the organization. And if that room wants to be competitive going forward, then they've got to lead that cultural change. They've got to exemplify for the whole organization what needs to happen. So
how?
I guess I'm stumped. What is the, where are you leading?
It's all well and good for us to say this is what has to happen, but what we really do is the how. We really take them to the step that says these are the things that you need to do to make that happen. It's not good enough just to describe these are the 10 talking points that came out of today's meeting. I hope everybody got them. They'll be in your email and the memos, and we want to disperse that across the company. That's not good enough.
Right. Well,
so these are the things that we need to do in order to make that happen. And my question to everybody here is, what are those things? Because I agree with you, Lenwood. You're right on. But
so
what do we do?
From my perspective, it's training. Okay, it's training, and you have to train the whole organization, and you have to train them quickly. So that's where I would start. It's coaching, it's values, it's setting up a new mission that everyone can buy into, because we have to have, one of the reasons why employee engagement is so low is because people don't believe in what they're doing. They don't feel they're a part of anything bigger than let's add another jet to the corporate jet fleet for the executives. I can't buy into that.
So one of the things in this podcast that Mike and Brandon had 2 weeks ago, Eric was brought on and they were having a chat with him. And one of the things that Eric did was that he talked about when he was in health and safety. So what happens in health and safety, he described, was that, so you're in the unfortunate position that one of your employees has been killed. It's an industrial accident. And what happens is that Eric would go in and investigate that accident. And one of the things that the health and safety in any country that has a government structure around health and safety is that they would actually talk about, could the board have stopped this death?
Yep.
Now, stopping deaths isn't about putting posters on the wall saying this is health and safety. It's about having a culture, and it's about the management team actually knowing what was going on in the world, and could they have actually taken the steps to take that knowledge that's out there, bringing it into the business and action that through the business. I'm right on that, Eric, in terms of
spot on. It's in light of the present information level of information available to this board or available to this executive team, in terms of public information and training that they could have had and things that were easily gained in terms of information and process. Could they have done a better job at this and saved this life or saved this limb? And that's what they would base a prosecution on.
And what Eric was doing was using this as a metaphor to talk about digital and saying, is there the information out there? Here is a piece of information about digital that we're actually creating here. Is there information about digital out there that the board can actually be using right now to inform themselves of what strategy they need to actually implement internally? Mm-hmm. What say you?
I think it's brilliant, and my quick take would be you have to assess your resources. You have to know your team. Do you have the capacity and do you have the talent inside your organization to execute on the strategy, versus are you at a place right now where you need to get outside help to execute this process of change as quickly and safely as possible. And I think that's what sets a lot of us apart here at DLA is not only do we understand the urgency, but we also understand what has to happen for your organization to successfully navigate this process. And so that's the question.
That's a great point. And that's why I focus on training so much, because there actually are not enough people out in the world with the skills that you need, that you're going to be able to hire in all those people. That's why training is so important. That's why workforce transformation, cultural transformation is so important, because this is not something that is unique to one organization where we can just hire a bunch of people. This is a transformation, an economic transformation that is happening on a global scale. So, that means everybody's in it.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I no, it's okay. Lenwood, I fully agree with you. I think training, culture training, how we do things in this company culture, and getting that in the heart, the mind, the blood of the employees, if you will, so that everybody's moving in the same direction is absolutely spot on. I think so much of the challenges now, I've been a startup guy my whole career, and one of the big strengths of being startup is that you're small, you're nimble, you can make quick decisions, and you can influence culture. So when you do have a good startup team that wants to empower people and make quick decisions and help people, be empowered in their role and get out of the way, you can do that really quickly in small teams. As companies grow and we've got these established, Fortune whatever type companies, so much of their success is based on consistency. And so that consistency is such a barrier to change. And it's that double-edged sword. Consistency is so important for, shareholder value, for long-term success. And then at the same time, especially in a time like right now, and I think history is going to look back on this time and have a lot to say, they need to change. They need to change. They need to change. But they've instilled in their culture consistency for so long that they're just in this big headbutt situation, and it's frickin' hard.
Yeah, there's no doubt that it's hard, but we're talking about survival. And that is not an exaggeration by any stretch of the imagination. If your company is going to survive into the next decade, you need to start making those changes today.
I agree with you.
It is not impossible, but it starts with the CEO. The CEO cannot abdicate responsibility for change in the organization to the CMO, the CIO, the CFO, or any of those people.
I agree with you, Lenwood. I think my point is that what you're saying is absolutely true. Where we can help companies the most is in that understanding of consistency and change, and just acknowledging and go, yeah, we get it, that consistency and your current systems and everything have been the foundation of your success, your growth, your shareholder value. We get that. Right now, you are in a precarious situation. You are in a time where the bravery, the courage to start making these changes, and how we can help them with small change. Now, look, I'm not a change expert, and I know there's a lot of change experts that are out there that should be leading in companies right now, because change is exactly what they need. The markets are demanding it. And if they're not the ones leading it with expertise to go, how do we move change as fast as possible throughout our organization, then I think companies are just making huge mistakes.
Brandon, that is a great point. And one of the biggest challenges with digital transformation is that companies operate in generally large enterprises operate in a silo fashion, and they need to move to this cross-functional collaboration. So making that transition is very difficult because, you know, the CMO is used to working in the CMO silo and only doing what the so the approach that DLA Ignite takes, and you know, we're part of DLA Ignite, so it's our approach as well, is actually wholesale transformation. If I'm not speaking out of turn there, but I'm saying do it all at once. Get yourself a tool, do your cultural change, your process, and all those three things at the same time. You don't try to do the cultural change, then do the process, then like that's.
But there's a beautiful tipping point in there, Lenwood, that you talked about, that whole wholesale change that you're talking about.
Yeah.
When a C-suite gets to the point where they've embraced social, where they've become a social organization that we talk about, the social organization that we speak of, when they've become that, and there's that beautiful thunk moment where they start to question every aspect about how their existence in markets and how they exist as an organization, and they start to say things when you're sitting there just perched like a little crow, just looking into this team of new trained social C-suite, the S-suite, the social suite. They're in there, they're thinking about it, they're redefining the way they work. So CSO, what's happening with you? Yeah, I need to hire two more new sales managers to manage these accounts. And someone in that group, and this has happened recently, and it's like whew, a cold shiver down your back. Someone in that group says, why? We don't work like that anymore. We behave differently. Our whole demand gen device and all the systems and processes that support that are completely different. Why are we applying a traditional model to the fact that we've forgotten, guys? Hold on. We're working in a new way. Our language is different. Every aspect of how we exist is different, but we're still applying traditional models. You know, sales managers left, we need to replace them. Actually, we need to think about the structure of our organization to harmonize with the new ways that we operate.
Absolutely.
Yeah, incredible.
Absolutely. Has to happen. Has to happen.
A lot of it comes down to trust. And there's the famous old phrase that trust walks in the door but leaves on horseback. And a lot of this comes down to trust.
The interesting thing about it is, and this is where we see the breakdown in social, is that social is fundamental. It is a fundamental change in how we're going to engage with our prospects, our clients, our vendors, our employees across the board. It is not about posting a piece of content on Saturday at a particular time. Like, if that's your mindset, then you are missing the thing entirely, because social media has changed the whole game. Everything has changed because of social media. It's not just your business; it's every business. And how
I had someone approach me today. They're looking for an individual to run their social and digital change project across the business. They think they're big on social, but they're not. But it doesn't matter. They're looking for someone to run this, and they are not going to advertise the position, because if they advertise the position, their competition will find out that they have this strategy for digital.
Right.
Now, if one person is doing that, how many other people have decided to go digital and are not advertising the fact because they don't want their competition to?
Wow.
Okay, it's a rhetorical question, but it's a we know, and I'm repeating myself, but we know that digital has been discussed in sales meetings and boardrooms across the whole of the world, and we're back on the old.
It seems like if we hold our breath for a few seconds.
Yeah, if we don't say anything, it stops.
Weird.
Oh man, I don't know if it's. I'm going to throw this watch into the other room from here.
You know, I think you highlighted something important there, Tim. And it's, if you're you're in the C-suite and you're listening to this, your competition is already working on some aspect of this, right? And perhaps the question is whether or not you should start, It's how do you catch up?
And you know, okay, yeah, your competition's already working in some aspect of this, maybe, right? And if they're not, as it's more likely that they're not, this is the opportunity for you to stretch out and be first, be the pioneer, be the leader in the sector. I said we've got a little logos section. This is some of the companies we work with currently and we've worked with in the past at the end of our kind of like show and tell session. And I had a company that said, well, we're not going to be doing this because there's no company up there that looks, it's in our sector on that list of logos there.
Yeah. By the time you see your competition doing this, guess
The train has
what?
left.
Too late.
But the big question isn't, is your competitor doing this? I mean, that's a good question, and they don't know the answer because they don't know what the hell you're talking about anyway. The big question is, where are your customers?
Yeah.
And what are they doing, and how are they doing it?
Yeah.
You know, and
They're waiting. They're waiting for our newsletter, our monthly newsletter. That's what they're doing.
I can't wait. Do you know? I love the newsletters that come out.
As long as it's emailed.
Yeah. I love a lovely.
What else would there be?
newsletter. Well, it tells me all about the company, doesn't it? Isn't it fantastic?
It shows who's sales leader for the month as well.
Oh, employee of the month. I love that.
Yeah, but Eric, the CEOs of the 5 top companies that we've got on our target list, they aren't on social. Okay,
No.
let's have a look at those 5 companies. The smallest company on that list has 30,000 employees. And on social, just in a quick review of the 30,000 employees, 26,000 of them are on LinkedIn for a start. We've just started in 30 seconds. One of the companies has 26,000 people, but the fact that the CEO isn't there, we're giving up.
I just like to share something just as a long-time coach, like 30 years of coaching with business owners and executives, that the way to look at implementing change in this area isn't necessarily about a new opportunity, because I'm just telling you, 30 years experience is that is one of the worst levers to drive change in an organization, because most leadership of companies of any size are risk averse. They're managing risk. That consistency thing that Brandon was talking about, this is true with these companies. And so the reason I always say, hey, look, your competition's on social and they're doing it, is because A, there is some truth to that, and B, that's the lever. Like if you're a CEO, that's the lever to have everyone move just a little bit toward taking action, and then opportunity comes along. It's great when you run across those unicorns that are like, we want to be the first. But I'm here to tell you, almost none of my clients over 30 years, from individual solo entrepreneurs to C-suites of huge organizations, almost none of them really want to be first in any sector. Like, there's value to it. Like, I'm totally with you, Eric. The clients that get it, they just dominate. They absolutely dominate.
But prospectors get shot, don't they?
Yes.
Like, I mean, think about Amazon. You know, flash in the pan. Tesla, flash in the
Oh
pan.
yeah.
You know, these companies just
They
they're
just
gone.
come and go. Didn't Amazon didn't Amazon die a death?
Yeah, and Apple.
Apple.
I mean, yeah,
Google.
it's not like they were the first company to be worth $1 trillion or anything, is it? I mean, they just-
Yeah, and I mean, I think if we expand that analogy, though, I mean, there were a lot of naysayers around that because they weren't pioneers, they weren't early adopters. And I think, I mean, one of our biggest challenges, I believe, is that we are seeking early adopters right now. We don't see it as early because we understand, we know what our customers are experiencing and the effects that it's having on their revenues. But most of the conversations we have with people, they're starting not even from like, you know, zero of a foundation. A lot of them are starting at -50 because we got to dig out the old mindsets of the funnel, of the sales enablement, of drive people to our website so we could nurture them, blah, 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 lead score. We've got to get them out of that mindset before they could even take a look and start looking forward at, you know, how do we trust the team to be the voice in an amplified manner so we could go digitally dominate the space. I mean, it's mind blowing, unfortunately, but this is our job, right? And the conversations like today is an excellent conversation that C-suite board members, they should be listening to this going, my gosh, this is accurate. This is true. And this isn't, patting ourselves on the back. Just let them look internally at their own numbers, look at their KPIs. Yeah, your outbound calls might be up, but how many conversations are they having? Mm-hmm. Your emails might be up, but how many, conversations, how many Zooms, how many meetings, where is your close rate? When you look at that, you've got to, they've got to pick their head up at some point and go, we're in a hard spot, and we've got to have the courage to be early adopters, beta test it, whatever you need to do, but it's time to courage up.
Yeah. And they should be looking for the innovators, and we're in the innovator group. Mm-hmm. And my suggestion, as far as that's, I actually got an email. So it's really funny. I have to share it on social because it's so funny. I got an email from someone wanting to teach me how to improve my cold calling techniques.
Oh wow! There's so many layers.
I'm definitely gonna share that.
You could get a 20-minute session at the Comedy Store just on that.
I thought to myself, this is so hilarious.
It's so refreshing for us Brits to see an American that truly understands irony.
I said, Tim and Adam would love this moment right here. I said, isn't this something? But the reason why I made that statement about look for the innovators. When people are sharing with you what they think you should be doing, their vision for the future, ask them why they have that vision. Ask them to show you why this works and why something else doesn't work, or why they shouldn't be going that direction. Because that's going to reveal to you whether they're really an innovator or not. There's got to be some logic to what's going on. Nothing's happening in a vacuum. And I think that we have a very excellent, coherent story, right, for social and why it works.
But this conversation reminds me so much of Tim. I think one of your favorite stories of mine is in 2017, speaking in a room of about 300 to 400 people, talking about blowing up the silos in sales and marketing, and how they need to come together to empower individuals for their, communication through digital with people. And that woman in the third row just could not shake her head no hard enough, laughed at, completely disrupted my talk in a room full of 300 to 400 people because she just thought I was so wrong. And I love that story too, because, not here, but I was right. We are right. And they've got to figure out how to gain the courage to be innovative, or let their company be innovative, or suffer.
That's perfect.
Yeah, the conversation about whether this works or not is over, dead in the trash. The question now is, if your organization has the culture to accept change, the mind to accept alternative perspectives, and the hunger to win.
And that was on Brandon and I's international live event. Because
it's also the title of my upcoming
it was Mike and Brandon empowering Eric.
Yeah, but you know what? We just set the foundation, and then Eric came in and Mike dropped.
You sprinkled the seeds, and you can I just I know that Tim, are you drawing this to a close now? Because I've got a little cute story towards the end.
No, I was actually going to ask if we're going to answer Bob's question.
Oh,
let's answer Bob's question. Hi, Bob.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, Bob. Yep.
Thanks for the question, Bob.
It will either be
accredited.
Yeah, it will either be a courageous leader or it will be business results.
I didn't hear what you said, Adam. Sorry.
I said when they're discredited if they don't do it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And when they went, and also because I'm seeing a lot of this, if they are a C-suite that's quite tight and they trust each other, the only point of reference that the COO, the CFO, and the CEO have for this is, and I mean this with love and respect, is if they are challenged about social selling and in their ideas that sort of leads towards marketing, they turn to their trusted CMO and say, I'm hearing a bit about social. I'm hearing how are we doing with that? If the answer is, we're all over it, we're smashing it, and they don't know enough about it to be able to just push through that veneer a little bit, there is a propensity to go, okay, so we're doing it already then. Oh, I just thought I'd ask.
And Eric, I think you bring up a huge point, which is when the term social is brought up, they go to marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And what marketing does from a social standpoint is completely different than what sales needs to do. Yeah, you've got your corporate your corporate social presence, great. You're spending money on social ads, great. But none of that is best effort, because you've got, in whatever, the company you referred to earlier, they got 26,000 employees. The average person has got 900 and some connections on LinkedIn. Look at the frickin' potential for share of voice and dominating the digital space.
How much revenue, profit, EBITDA, whatever you want to call it, are you getting from social? They should be a board report that is presented to the board that says how much profit, revenue we are allocating that we're getting from social. Because if they're not asking that question,
but I would say the answer to the question with respect to at what point is the C-suite going to be open to bridging this disconnect is when DLA Ignite's team has finished their first meeting excellent presentation and blown their minds wide open, and now they're ready to take the steps they need to take.
And as long as they don't, just as a bracket, as long as they don't say, I'm really sorry, we don't have enough left in our marketing budget to do this complete business transformation that's going to change the very fabric of how we operate forever.
Right. Eric, cute story.
Cute story. I met with a wonderful leader who happened to be a CFO of a completely different company from the company that ended up in the conversation, and we had a lovely couple of hours together talking about social. And right at the end, we had a little bit of here's some of the clients that we've worked with and so we've worked with, and he went, right, this makes so much sense. So one of our clients here is a company called Cyberhawk. It's well documented. Cyberhawk's one of our clients.
And he said, company, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And this chap said, who's completely not in the industrial space whatsoever in terms of techie space and all of that, said, it's really funny. It's really funny you say that, because I know I could speak quite eloquently about the fact that Cyberhawk are the world's leading drone inspection company. And I don't know what a drone is.
How about that?
Perfect.
Because yeah,
Some
absolutely.
people think it's magic.
Some people think it's magic. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for listening in and your comments. Thank you, everybody, for the debate.
Thank you, Tim, for hosting.
Appreciate it.
Yes. Yeah.
And we'll see you next week.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Tim.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.